this is Seema and I am back with a new lesson on 10 very interesting phrasal verbs. Well, this seems to be a very common chapter. However, this chapter is quite interesting because I've got totally new phrasal verbs for you. Now, what is a phrasal verb? A phrasal verb is basically a verb used along with a preposition like up, out, on, and so on. So phrasal verbs are very interesting expressions when you combine a verb and a preposition together. So let's have a look at a few of them. Okay, the first one is to beef up. Well, the word beef, okay, what does it bring to mind? If you are a non-vegetarian, if you have beef, beef comes from a buffalo. So when we're talking about beef up, we're talking about something that is really strong. So when I say beef up, I mean that I want to make something stronger or increase the value of something or increase the number of something. So I can say something like, the stadium beefed up their security for the final match. Or John goes to the gym to beef up. So he tries to increase his muscles. Okay. Our next expression is bristle at. Okay. Another very important verb used with a very common preposition, which is at. Now, the word bristle at, okay, where does it come from? Now, bristle is basically a sound that mostly animals like cats and dogs make. So, you know, when a cat or a dog faces a threat of some kind, their fur stands and they make this hissing sound, a very, a hissing sound which shows that they are annoyed. Okay, I can't make that sound, so I won't even try. But bristle at therefore means to express anger, like a sudden anger, you know. So if somebody asks you a stupid question, you bristle at them. Okay, so I can say that when my dad arrived late at the airport to pick me up, I bristled at him because I was very angry. Okay, so bristling at is basically expressing your sudden annoyance or your sudden anger. And our next expression is the word clam, which is a verb, of course, used with the preposition up. Now, where does this expression come from? If you see a clam is it's more like a shell. These shell-like creatures that live underwater. If you try to open a clam once it's closed, you can't open it because it's really hard to open up a clam. So clam up basically comes from this animal or this shell-like creature that lives underwater, which actually means that you refuse to say anything. So basically, you are like a clam. Once you're shut, you can't open up. We can't get any information off you. So I can say something like, the superstar clammed up when he was interrogated or questioned about his personal life. So you're talking and all of a sudden, you just clam up. And nobody can just, get you to open up at all. Okay. Our next phrasal verb is the word size up. Now, size up is basically used when we are talking about evaluating or making a judgment based on someone's physical appearance. So if I'm like really strong, you won't want to pick a fight with me because you've sized me up. You've evaluated me based on my physical appearance, right? So, animals, especially in jungles, when they meet another animal or they just come across another animal, they size them up. They evaluate them based on their appearance and then decide if they've got to fight with them or not. So the same goes for human beings, when you have a boxing match, before you are in for a fight, you will size up your opponent, which means you will evaluate your opponent based on his or her appearance, okay? And the next phrasal verb is to crow about. Now, this seems to be a very, simple expression because we all know what a crow is. The bird who's really annoying, it goes cow, cow. I hate crows, Now, crow about. A crow, when it makes that kind of a sound, it gets very annoying, doesn't it? So, when I'm talking about the expression crow and bring it together with the preposition about, I basically mean that someone is bragging or to brag arrogantly, which of course is very annoying. So when somebody brags arrogantly, you call that crowing about, okay? So I can say that Jim keeps crowing about his new supermodel girlfriend. He can't stop bragging arrogantly about her. That's what crowing about is all about, and it comes from the word crow, which is the annoying bird we all know, okay? Our next expression is fawn over. Okay, where does this expression come from? We all know what a fawn is, don't we? Okay, those of you who don't know what a fawn is, it is a young deer. How many of you have watched Bambi? Okay, well, that's one of the very common cartoons we watched and read as a child. But a fawn is basically a young deer, and a fawn is loved a lot by its mother. So the expression fawn over is basically an expression to say that you want to show a lot of love or affection. So I can say something like, the youngest daughter is fawned over by her parents, or she's always fawned about by her grandmother, which is why she's really spoiled, okay? So fawn over is basically to really pamper someone, to show them a lot of love, a lot of attention, a lot of affection. And our next expression is wipe out, okay? Wipe out basically means to, okay, if I wipe out something, what have I done? I have eliminated it. I have removed it, or can I say I have destroyed it? So I can say that water pollution wipes out, the population of penguins, maybe, or maybe too much of global, warming wipes out or destroys, again, the Eskimo population, because there's lesser ice and it gets more heaty. So basically wipe out basically means to eliminate, destroy, do away with, remove, whatever you can say, okay? And the next one is bounce off. Well, bounce off, if I have a ball and I bounce it off something, it stays there for a moment and comes back at me or somewhere else, right? So bouncing off is basically just throwing in your idea to a group of people or a person. So I can say that the marketing manager bounced off his new marketing strategy to the people in front of him. So he threw in his idea, he kind of gave them a gist about what his new idea or his strategy was all about, okay? So that's what bouncing off means. Now, what is the word mull over supposed to mean, or the phrase mull over supposed to mean? Mull over basically means to consider or think about something very carefully. Okay, so someone has explained something to you. Now you've not made a decision, you are mulling over it. Okay, you're mulling over it. So your parents have told you why you should go to, say, a specific school, but you have not yet decided if you want to go to this one or the other school that you like. So you are mulling over it. You are considering their thoughts about what you should do. You are thinking about something very carefully, okay, before you make your final decision. And our last expression is plod along. Plod along basically means to move forward very slowly, something like that. Okay, well, not exactly like that, but you go really slow, you move forward very slowly. So I can say something like, I was very angry because I had to stand in a queue where the lady in front of me was plodding along, or she was basically moving forward very slowly. So I was getting impatient and that made me very angry. All right, so well, this is it for the topic on phrasal verbs. I hope you found them interesting. Well, I'll be back with some more lessons. Until then, this is me saying